I'd like to call our workshop meeting to order. Happy St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2026. And we have to pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if you haven't already, go ahead and silence your phones. And may we have roll call. Here.
Councilman Henson.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here.
Councilman Mikey.
Here.
Councilman Bowman.
Here.
Councilman Green. Councilman Howe.
Here.
There was one.
Any questions on council meeting minutes, February 26, 2026? No questions? Any questions on treasurer's report for this month? Any questions on reports submitted from the police department? We'll go over them first. Fire department, anything? Public Works, monthly report. Water department. And about the wastewater monthly report. The only thing I will add on to wastewater is we're doing smoke testing still. We'll be notifying the best we can as far as notifying on the website or Facebook. Put a sign in the area that what subdivision we will be smoke testing, so that when you see smoke coming out of the roof of someone's house, you know that area is being tested. Otherwise, call the fire department.
I got something, Bill.
Yeah.
Even though it really don't pertain to the water report itself, I heard through the grapevine that there's rain in Bull Mountain Tower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that water that was in there, did the city pay for that water?
Yeah. They're draining it through the system.
When I come home from work at the cooler side, it's running.
Oh, it's running out of the.
It's running off the side of the off the side of the hill. Was it still running?
Yeah, it's still running on the way here.
I'm just saying that, I don't know, I'm assuming the city paid for the water that's in there.
Yeah.
Would that be included in the maintenance part of it that they're gonna do like that?
Yeah, the company is in town right now. Now, Roger told me that they will start draining that thing today. So that's,
No, I just, if the water's already billed, or the city already paid for it, so we're gonna be at a loss when we go to rebuild it. Is that right or wrong?
I imagine you're right. I'm checking with Roger right now. What do we, yeah. What do we do with that water? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking. My understanding was that he was going to be sending it through the system. Now, it may, have a leak too that busted loose. So,
I'm just mentioning.
no, I appreciate that. Anybody out there, if you see water coming out, contact us. First I heard of it, so.
the city's gonna score that one way street.
Right, but my understanding is they were gonna put, as they were draining it, they were gonna be pulling from the Bull Mountain Power to feed the town
Okay.
until it's empty. But now, if it's leaking out in the road, yeah, we have a problem.
Well, if you're trying to get rid of it, you can't get rid of it back in the drain. If you were using it, you need to have to discard
I'm not sure, I'll find out, soon, after letting you know what's going on. I mean, like I said, my understanding was that it would go through the system, okay, and we'd be using it as it drains, but now if it's busted a pipe, yeah, we need to get out there and fix it.
Bill, can I tell you?
Yeah.
I was coming back from Clifton today and that water coming off the hill, so I come in and went through there to see what was going on. And they were draining it at the time, there was no leak at the time. The man I spoke with, they're working on the tower, and he didn't speak very good English. So what I got out of him was they were just working on the tower and he was doing as he was told. Other than that, basically, there was no way.
Driver says, yeah, he's draining, we're draining it right now. So yeah, we're gonna need that. Any other questions on those reports? Move on to the Parks Committee. Lynn, do you have anything for, parks at all? Other than, we got bumpers, we're waiting to put the bumpers in. I don't know if Merle, did we get any rebar, yet?
I had 3 bars, but it's got to get the top rolled on.
Okay.
We had 12 volunteers on Saturday
For the, campsite?
at the site, and we're gonna try and do it again this weekend. So if the weather is good, we'll be out there.
It's supposed to be 85 or so.
Well, that's really good.
How much did you get that?
We're just, very heat,
We have people vacation from Texas coming out too.
yeah, and they're 3 kids.
I have 3 kids.
Lynn, how much did you get done in the time that you had, like percentage wise?
I'd say maybe a fourth of what we still have to do. We still have to power wash all the, leave that home.
We only got 4 or 5 done, so.
Yeah, those all have to be done. We're still raking and burning and cleaning and,
I got,
it's a lot of work.
I have 2 surface washers that would do those, campsites a lot faster than the table and all that.
Right, we were using ours.
Okay.
And,
Is yours an attachment or just a pressure washer or?
Right, it attaches to the
We
line.
definitely use it. We was having a lot of trouble with that the other day. Marty even took it to the garage and tried to make it better, but the one we have is barely working. So if you have a circular type,
What kind of power washer are you using, 3,000 or 3,500?
I don't know, just
Yes,
give
I mean, it's not the electric one.
No, it's their gas powered, it's still, yeah, 5 horse.
That should hook right up to it, so.
Yeah. No, we definitely take up on that.
Okay, I'll have it here at the city hall for you tomorrow.
I got a question while you're on the phone. I was gonna wait till council member comments. I had an individual text me a picture today around Brown Beach area. And there's a sign down there that says no parking beyond this point, violators will be prosecuted. It's sitting between the bathhouse and the pavilion. You think, I mean, they don't mean nothing, the way I look at it is, if you can't go past that point and park, why are we?
Is it standing up, Joey?
Yeah.
Because they were both laying down. So someone must have
he's concerned that it's turning people away from.
Yeah, I mean, I was down there last week and they were both laying down right at the point of there. Yeah, they were both laying down, where the water level came up to last year. So someone's erected it. Merle, can you get that taken,
Yes.
laid down again? Obviously, someone.
Yeah, he's gonna go over and, do that tomorrow anyway, so I'll have it.
Yeah.
If we have to, we can put it in the truck until we need them and take them back out. So, yeah, somebody's gonna get it, that and they usually.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed on the board here, the whiteboard, I kind of give you an idea of, what I did is, got elevations, where we would have to attach our swim area at. And the far left is the old swim area, okay? And then where they put the new sidewalk is just to the right a bit, and it runs on a different skew, okay, where they put the attachments where the land is, and that's at 668 feet when the water gets up to there. Where there's circles around is we would have to make new anchor points for those locations. The far right one is when we're up to 695, okay, and it would have to be on that kind of an angle, and we'd have to put anchor points at 3 locations, and the one that's already there on the far left is already in the ground. But that's the way it would have to be set up. And we were talking about if we take that at Browns Beach, okay, there's a lot involved moving that structure. Okay, we're going to have be able to unhook in the water, so we're going to need a boat. And we're going to have to unhook, have 2 people on land to move it and move it over to the new anchor points, hopefully where the buoys are and the cable's still there when the water gets, as it's going up. We had tossed around several ideas over at Point Return. Everybody goes to that swim area that has a T-grill on it. And when the water goes up, it's coming up in a straight line. Okay, whereas this is going up on an angle and a very slow slope. But if you look where it's at, the 655 is was the normal pool last week, and our normal pool is 659. So between 660 and 680, that water's coming up 20 foot. Okay, and our problem is how do we keep a cable and how do we detach it and not lose our cable? That's what's happening, why we lost our swim area in the first place. So, the other option, like I said, was over at Browns, at Point Return, whereas as it's coming up in a straight, more straight, the problem is the parking area. We just don't have a parking area. So I don't know what the solution is. If someone can figure out how we can have a cable that's going to go up 20 foot and not float all over the place when it's down low. Okay, that's our problem. When it's at normal pool now, when that cable starts going, or the water starts going up, we got 10 to 20 foot that's got to extend up and avoid that swim area from moving all over the place. I still haven't quite figured out how to do something.
Would we be willing to lose camp spots to accommodate parking in the upper region of Point Return? Because anytime I've been there, it's usually the lowest 2 rows against the lake that stays the busiest, whereas up top, kind of by the wash houses, there's typically never anyone up there. So I don't think it'd be a far-fetched idea to designate Point Return as our designated swim area, especially with our issues of high water and how our boat ramp sits in the summertime with kids land there.
So if we just push it over, but then we move the pavilion, that's right there, then we will be moving everything too, so it's a problem.
Right, and I mean, you know, we have the playground that we're trying to put in over there, we got the swing set over there, we got the pavilion over there, we got the picnic fences over there, but the other problem that we have is we got swimmers that want to swim around the pier where people are trying to launch, you know, and that is an income for the city, the launch. Something I think we definitely need to think about and try to figure out.
I can speak a little bit to that. I was actually, at the Key Gravel a couple of nights ago on the bank, and that is an excellent spot. I mean, we've actually launched our, dropped a riverboat in there and had the grandkids swim right there. I mean, the other area is just almost not swimmable.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of boulders and sharp rocks down there, and that's not really a designated swim area.
So could we stop people from swimming at the area they're swimming at now, if we move them over to the other place?
You have to, you know, put them over there.
That's a much better place on the other side.
Yeah,
The pea gravel is much better.
The only thing I was like about,
I mean, the pea gravel, that's right there in the main temple, like, we need, like, even have to put booties out, like, you know, all there, that's close to it.
That's the one really good quality of Brown Beach swim area is protected. Right. That's a really big thing, yeah, but.
Well, I mean,
To a point, I mean, there used to be the white buoys out there, and they disappeared, but I think we can get buoys from the coral, no problem. If we just need to anchor homes.
There is also kind of an inside curve there. You're facing the lake to the bottom right that still has the peak gravel, that we should position it off to the right rather than dead center in the main channel.
back in the cold part of it.
Kind of just to the right corner, yeah, where it's on an offset angle rather than 90 degrees to the wall.
Right.
How are these cables attached to the lake?
They're just, you know, a cable is looped around, you put a sail on it. Okay.
So they're not clipped on, is there some kind of clip?
I mean, you can put clips on them,
so
the only
that
problem
it's
is
easier.
taking up people that unclip them.
And I used to live in Lakeview before I moved to Gold Shoals. They have the same problem over there. I mean, they put sand on the beach, the lake comes up, and the sand goes down, but they're kind of in a protected area, but that beach is not usable either when the water comes up. It's just not. No. Well, you can't drive to it. Paddleboard to it. The high water is a problem.
Yeah. No, that's, any other questions on those two things? Any questions on planning and zoning?
I briefly get a letter, I'm sure everyone else has too. Rick, did you want to talk about this at all? or-
if you guys would like to.
I'm more than happy to hear your concerns too. Everyone can set up.
I don't know if that mic's working.
That one doesn't work because I traded it out.
You just gotta turn it
Not
on.
loud enough, everybody can hear me, but you can turn that one on, it doesn't work.
I won't give it a try. Pardon? Okay, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
It seems like one of the things we spoke about in the past was intent and how we work things and how things are put into place with our ordinances. And I feel like one of the things that was very clear kind of through this last process was the difference between intent to rent for residency and intent to rent for tourism. And it looks like after this in here, we have some screenshots of apartments for rent on Zillow.
Yes, there's been a lot of advertising for apartments from some of our resorts. in particular, they are the library. We also had a lively discussion today with the mayor and a couple of us, and I think that's up for discussion later on, so I don't know if you want to group it all together right now.
No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor?
I mean, we can take care of it now, we'll come under labor anyway.
Planning and zoning is unhappy with it. We were trying very hard to get these resorts to comply and to do resorts. Currently, a quarter of our resorts are full-time apartments. I think that's unacceptable. Mr. Manking has done very well getting us another tournament here. Where are we going to put people? We have another resort that's pushing apartments that we see before you. What are we going to do about this? We're going to decide real quick whether or not we're going to be a tourist town or we're going to be an apartment complex. We only have 8 resorts that are in the seaports. We do have one in the C2 resort. So we have started sending violation letters to 2 of the resorts. The 3rd one is going out tomorrow. But
Have we received a response to those?
not very nice ones. One of the resorts, actually, if I recall the story correctly, they have a tenant in there that's not paying the rent. They've had him there for a year or so.
2 years.
And 2 years.
Always $4,000. I wanted to know what we could do to help her out. Okay. Well, they over that, you're gonna have to go to small claims court, okay, and then get a judgment made, and then have the sheriff evict, which is gonna take probably 4 to 8 months to get that first. So, we had discussed today, and I've talked to a couple resort owners, and we have a new owner at Evergreen Resort. Scott's taken that over, and I advised him that you're going to be better off keeping it as a resort and doing monthly leases. Okay, that way, if this person is an individual, they want out of there, you're going to be able to get them out. You know, police come over, hey, sorry, your lease is up, your rent is done. Okay, you would have to go. But if you're going to end up like this other person that's trying to get this person that owes her $4,000, okay, it's going to be a long process. So, what I suggested to Rick and Danny and some of these other resort owners is that we, the city council, the planning and zoning, and we invite every single resort owner to sit down in this room here and see if we can come up with some sort of option to help them survive, and also we're not getting into their business, okay? But we need to decide on how we're going to do this, because if we are doing our job and bringing people back to this community, to tourist or vacation, to stay, to fish, or whatever, they're going to need a place to stay. And these people are going to make more money as a resort than they are a monthly rental. And one of the, the big resort owners says he'd rather have, the regular daily rentals, because he is going to make more money. By having a monthly rental, he's going to only get 1/3 of what he can make. So, some of them are willing to come, but I think the only way we're going to be able to resolve it, we tried this early in 2025, okay? And we had one resort owner, I believe.
One resort owner?
And then one voyager, show up. So I think we're going to try to give it one more chance and see if we can work with them. And if not, we got to abide by our ordinances.
Well, and in the same time, this needs to happen fairly quickly. We had, I
deadline on our violation orders, and citations will be going on. So it's gonna be, we're gonna be inviting people to come in after they get some citations. So I don't know how long this is gonna work, or whether we're gonna get any cooperation from them. We didn't last time. I'm on the fence whether how good this idea is gonna work, but I'm going to give it a try. That's up, if that's what you guys want to do, but
We need to do something about not starting something and then you guys pull it back and, basically people are gonna say, wow, I'm tired of doing anything. And if you're scared of, a lawsuit coming, that's what's gonna happen. Let it come. I'd like to see all these reports get together. If the lawsuit, that's what they want to do. They're not gonna win, our codes are limits. And if you guys don't wanna do that, then we shouldn't have codes. We do have a very serious situation here, and we have to come up with a solution.
Can I say something from my perspective? Every week, I get phone calls, emails, texts, I get cornered at hearts, and people want to know why we are not enforcing the ordinances. Plain and simple. They go on Facebook and they see ads on Trulia where it's obvious that they are renting rooms long-term. There's it's not veiled, it's not, maybe this is their intent, maybe this is their intent. It is clear what they're doing. And I cannot keep defending anything when somebody comes to me and says, I don't take you guys seriously, you're not going to enforce it. Where are the teeth? You keep saying you're going to do it. You keep saying, you're like if you don't act right, you're going to go to timeout. And then timeout never comes. And,
that we are sending out right now.
Well, my understanding of how this is supposed to work, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Planning and Zoning Committee meets, comes up with regulations, comes up with recommendations, brings them to us, we do something about it, and then it gets enforced. So where is the breakdown here? Because Planning and Zoning seems to be telling us that they don't want this, that this is a violation of our ordinances. They keep coming to us, and then somehow there's always another reprieve of let's have a meeting, and then no one comes. I've gone to those meetings. I've given up evenings where I have sat, waited for people to come, and there have been a few resort owners, and the ones that show up are like, we don't want long-term housing. And yet nothing gets done. And at what point are we going to start to listen to what Planning and Zoning is telling us? Because I can't defend this any longer. I can't have somebody coming to me and saying, you guys are a joke. You're not enforcing anything. And what do I say to that?
I don't have an answer for you. You guys, we need to get together on this. We do want to do it, start the enforcement. We have started the enforcement.
I've been asked to look at signs in the city for a lot of these closed resorts, or businesses, I'm sorry. Are we going to run into the same problem if we start putting out red tags and citations for these signs? This is something we have to consider. It's are they going to come and say, well, we're going to sue you, and then you guys will back off on us? We're going to make a steadfast rule.
What is the key component that you think we're missing here? Because I'm hearing that we're sending out violations, which would mean that we're going involved in the ordinance, right? So then what are you asking from us to say, yeah, throw a penalty at them, but that's already written in the
It is, we are throwing the penalty, but from what I'm hearing now is instead of us going ahead and doing what we're doing and moving on with it, you guys all received an email, I believe, that was sent to the mayor from one of the regional members that's saying that we're spending too much time on resorts and enforcement. Well, if people weren't doing something wrong, we wouldn't be spending so much time on it. And if we would be able to move forward, we could. I don't know if you guys have seen that email or have read that email, but They took a pretty good swipe at planning and zoning and told us we're not doing our job correctly, but, unfortunately, planning and zoning hasn't done a whole lot in the last 2 decades as far as enforcement. So we have a big job in front of us. And we have a resort owner that thinks we should be spending more time bringing in businesses. Actually, I believe that's an economic development problem, and that's not part of planning and zoning. We can help the business once they're in there, but maybe the council needs to set up another committee to do the economic development. And, he was saying that, he was mad that the Dollar General was closed, and maybe we should bring in Family Dollar or something like this. I don't see that being a great great investment in our town, actually. I think we need to look at other businesses. He also pointed out that, we should go with the AADC. Well, he pointed out several other towns that are working really great with that. Let me tell you something about Centertown. They have a population of 26,000 people. They have a bigger tax base than we do. I'm guessing that they have money and planning and zoning to get this kind of work done. I'm guessing that they also pay their planning and zoning people. Please remember, you have 6 people on planning and zoning and volunteers. None of us said that we were proficient in planning and zoning, and that's not our career. So, to compare us to other cities like this, and out of all these cities that he listed here, the smallest one is 10,000 people. Well, all these have bigger budgets than we. This guy came from a big town out of Colorado, and now he's not well versed in it. And the sad part is, he's picking on us for not doing our job right. I'll be damned if I've ever seen him at a meeting. He's come to one planning and zoning meeting, and that was it. So, I wish this gentleman would come to the meeting and actually learn what our town is about and what we're doing. Sorry, my opinion.
Well, from where I sit, we have people that are going by the book. It sounds like we have a couple people, I should say, resort owners, that aren't going by the book. We have documented evidence of these being rented as apartments, but I don't think legally can't be. Alright? As much as I love to do the old kumbaya, we have obvious evidence that something isn't right here, and I think at least a notice with the impact documents is a great way to go. I don't disagree with a sit down, but then again, I know a whole other resort other than what you're speaking of that's committing the same ordinance violation. And there's a large difference, as we spoke about in the past, on the subject between intent. Right? Well, there's a difference between certain resort owners who are bringing people in to stay for a couple months because they're snowbirding, and then people that are actually marketing as an apartment. There's a stark difference in those two, and if you're willing to blatantly, openly violate an ordinance, then now I still think we should have a good kumbaya, get everybody in the room. But that means that would be like, what, the 4th time we've tried to do this? And it's the same outcome every time, so, you don't want to get into a battle with anyone or be bad guys, but you can't also blatantly break a violation. It's on the internet. Before I would send screenshots that those weren't the owners of this particular resort. So, hey, anyone can go on the internet and says Mike sells kittens behind City Hall on Sundays. It doesn't mean it's true, but now we have this. So,
well, I believe we had the attorney come up and give us a presentation, and then he also handed us a document that he created, and basically he was saying less than 30 days is when a resort should be doing if they want to make a resort. Well, I was up in a month and I haven't been able to figure this out. Less than or is it nothing?
I don't think it's beyond reason that people would vacation from a month. Especially, been in these situations. I grew up across the street from the airport, okay, and there was always a reoccurring cast of people that were there throwing their doing that. I kid you not, there's a guy walking around with a samurai sword. There's no exaggeration here. But then they were gone. You know, they weren't full-time residents or anything like that. So, I mean...
Yeah, it's a very tough situation. I don't know what the answer is. I have no problem with people staying 60, 90 days. However, I do have a problem when people have taken up residency. And this one particular resort has something that's been going there for close to 2 years now. That is not equal. I don't know how better to explain it to a resident. Arkansas does have a residency law, and if you spend more time in 83 days, you're considered a resident. That's 6 months. So anybody longer than that, are they not residents? Is that what the resort is? That's what we're actually sending a violation letter out for right now. And the sad part is, you know, I've had people come to me and say, well, you're going to kick people out on the street. No, I'm not. These owners are doing that. This owner has had this person in here since he bought the place 8 months ago and has done nothing but park it 8 months. He hasn't tried to move him on. He knows he's in violation. What do you want to supposed to do?
I mean, we do have a problem. We need to solve it. We need to figure this out. And I sat down with the owner of Del Arco, and give him the benefit of the doubt, okay, but this will be the last time, okay. I got an email from Sergio Vega, okay, wanting to know about 22 parcels, okay, in our town, and could you confirm the property zoning designation? And is the current multifamily apartments used allowed within the current zoning? If not, is there a special permit or grandfather status for the properties? Could you provide me with a copy of the current zoning map, since it is not available online, but it is on our website? But these 22 parcels are the whole C4 properties of the Del Arco and the Del Arco management, who Hank and Kate's used to own. So those parcels are with houses on them, but that takes up that whole section of that C4. So why is this guy wanting to know this information? He's assisting an appraiser and would like to request this information. And it's all for properties that are located in 216 Crestline Drive. This might be a development company wanting to make these all apartments. I don't know. Okay, they don't explain what their motive is, but that's just, they want to know this information that we have. Okay.
When I respond back and I give the information, actually, they are correct. Our map on our planning and code is correct.
Okay.
You can't tell. You can't tell. I have a better picture. We should probably spread
Right,
that.
I thought we put that on our website. Did we not?
I don't know. I just sent that out just the other day.
If we did, we'll put it on there tomorrow.
But it is a coincidence that this guy that is asking these questions happens to be from Colorado.
But, as you see, other resort owners, like the one that, just got, trying to be nice to this individual, try to, make her through, but she's out $4,000. Okay. Then we got other resort owners on Pinehurst that are, waving their hands and their noses at us, like, well, you ain't gonna do anything, you ain't gonna tell me how to do, you're going to run my business. I'm sorry, but we do have ordinances in place to address this, and we are. That one has been sent a letter, and we're going to let the courts decide. So, but I still think that the council and the planning and zoning and the resort owners, see who shows up this time. It's gonna be the last chance to voice their opinion on what we can do for them and what they can do for us.
Just the kind of thing we would want to do in the very, very near future.
Yeah.
That's what we aim to. And
You know.
we're kind of at doomsday clock here where we gotta act. And I mean,
This has been going on
Yeah.
since I was on the phone for 6 years.
Yeah.
I was a kid, man. This is nothing new. It's just now we're here. Now we're here. So, but
And I think we also need an assurance that this is the last time. This is the last time we're gonna reach out to these people
Yeah.
and try to get them to come in, because how many last times do we have to get them?
Right.
And every time this comes up, it's the last time. Every time someone mentions this, it's, we're gonna give one more chance. We're gonna go one more time and let them do it, and I'm all about that, but at some point, there has to actually be a last time.
And
it
I
has
think
to
we're
be
at
a
that point
point.
now. I really do.
Okay.
Well, we also need to think about what are we going to offer them? The attorney has made quite clear we can't do, special, we can't regulate how long people stay in the place or anything like this. We can't do them permits, I believe that was in the state, so what are we going to offer? This is gotta be something we have to come up with as a group here, is what are we going to do for them? And if we do something way out of the line, are we going to do it for all the other businesses we have? Because resorts are a seasonal business. They always have been since time began. They have slow times. Did this area die? Absolutely. That's just part of business. I'm sorry that it happened. We're trying to bring it back, but I don't know what we're going to offer. I'm at a loss as to that.
Well, Mike also from Del Arco, when he was in my office, he said he got Tyson coming in, okay, there's a tournament coming in, he booked every one of his rooms that's available, which is just under 20, okay, for those guys at the tournament. They already booked those things for, what was it, April to May. April 30th to May 3rd, I think. So they already, booked those days through him. So he's not going to have anybody living in those usable resorts, okay? But yet, how far do we let these people go? I mean, we have traveling nurses that come and stay here, and they're looking at anywhere between 3 months and 6 months of a stay for a traveling nurse. Now, do we let these people go ahead and do that? How far do we give them? Do we give them 6 months, or do we give them 183 days, like the state law says? These are all things that we definitely need to work out.
And I guess I'm asking for you guys to think about it too, because planning doesn't have an answer. And it's going to boil down to a decision you guys have to make, because we have a purview of planning to create something for them. So this is going to be resting on your shoulders more than it is ours.
Any more questions or planning and zoning? When we get to citizens' comments,
No, I just have something I want to add to this subject. I was a realtor back east, and realtors have to be accountable to a whole board. And if a realtor says something as a business, as a resort, it should be running that. So maybe we should communicate with the realtor going forward. This sounds like a mess. For future, we, work together with the realtor who's.
Well, actually, she's
Selling
actually right.
rent.
We found that realtors just don't always do like the right thing, because living in the Dreams, or Lakeside Dreams down there, was just sold a month ago, and he bought it with tenants, residents. because we've been slowing down trying to get, stuff going. We now have a new owner there that's kind of pissed at us because he's been given a violation letter and he can't understand why he can't have.
The real
Yeah, but see, Tripp, but I told him in the police office, okay, that he wasn't allowed to do that. And he said he wasn't gonna do that, but yet, here he has.
We have to get things in writing. They're not gonna do this. And you're
Well,
gonna
we
go
already got it in
before the
writing, we
board of
got it,
appeals.
you know, ordinance on it.
Okay.
And who's your
go back to
license?
the business license. And then I'll learn the permit. Does it say resort, long-term rental, what does it say on it? Just like the co-op up there, that's resort, but they're running it as monthly.
Yeah, well, we still have to deal with that situation, okay?
But I'll answer your question. Business licenses in both shows are just a license. You don't have to claim the kind of business you're using. It's not specific to any one business. You get a license, you can do what you want.
And they'll also advertising that they're taking vouchers for Section 8 housing. Am I correct, Mr. Rick?
Well,
Was it something like that?
evidence on the apartment rental sites,
I read that, and it doesn't say that they're accepting them. What they are saying is, it must be very clear about this. In order to take Section 8 HUD housing, you must be properly zoned. If you are accepting vouchers, you are again in violation of federal law. Alright, now what this shows is a standard info sheet that Zillow and Shoals give for every household. That shows if you live in the state of Arkansas, I can't tell you no based on race, creed, whatever, is what that's saying. In this, and I'm with you, because we don't need that, we're a mess, but they're not openly saying we take vouchers. The whole thing is that what is shown here is a resort unit being listed as an apartment, which then Zillow doesn't know the difference. They don't check any of this. So it just goes tagged on there. So I don't think, now is this something that would need to be FOIA through the federal government? But just know that's in violation of federal law. Anyone is accepting a HUD income housing voucher while they're not properly zoned.
Did they post it though?
No.
No.
No. And I saw the screenshot of what was presented, and it is a run-of-the-mill general tag-on that if I was renting my house, it would have that same exact.
And, you know, they put apartment on some of these, and I told Belarco guy, okay, Mike, that you probably need to reword that because you are not an apartment. Well, he says some of these Airbnbs and Zillow and that, they only give you two choices. It's a house or apartment, okay, to put down. But I said, well, the other one that you got the screenshots of, okay, this person is putting out false information on you, okay, making it, $900, $950 for an apartment. It's not an apartment, it's a room at a resort that you're renting out for a month, okay? So, you should advise, okay, on that.
and there is a third choice. You can find someone else to do it, I didn't say you had to do that, but when you're asking for a security deposit, that doesn't sound like a resort fee.
Right.
I believe.
Well, Zillow doesn't do that, right?
Not when you're renting on the apartment rental site, it's a little bit different sites that you can go to, and it's pretty obvious what was going on there.
But, it's definitely something that we're gonna have to sit down and have a group meeting, whoever doesn't show up on resorts. I'm sorry, we've given you, every ample chance to correct the situation.
I'll just say that we will just continue on with the violations and, as soon as we can set this, we know some of them are gonna be doing in 15 days, so This is probably something we should do sooner than later, this is something put off till next month. It is, if we're gonna do it correctly, we need to talk to them ahead of time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, guys.
Next thing on the agenda is the troll.
Alright, I'm gonna make the switch, it's just when I thought we were gonna have a nice easy quick one. Okay, so far we've raised $600 for the archery range. And we were trying to come up with some cool idea, some sort of event for the park. And I saw some stuff on the internet for basically what's an immersive archery hunt. I know, I'm not gonna talk about that. As you all know, we have the urban deer hunt here. It's very successful. It draws a lot of folks in. If you've ever been to the qualifiers, there's like 100 people there to start. So what this would do, the premise is, beneath the karst landscape of bull trolls, the trolls that live in the cave that have broken free and taken over Dan User Park. So we have found these 5 to 6 foot tall cardboard cutouts of trolls. So the same way you would see an archery target, whether it be a deer or pig, but these are trolls. They'd be reinforced with foam and archery targets. And we would use the red loop of Dan User Park as a trail. Now this is a moderate to slightly difficult trail, but it's really cool. It has a creek you have to cross, that we put something there. But there would be 10 stations, if you've ever done anything like sporting clays, where you go through. There'd be an open shoot in the morning and then a tournament of champions in the afternoon. It's a super simple thing. Each place would have, you have to hit this dot at 20 yards and you get the bonus points or whatever. It's just a medallion. It's nothing huge. That's a big tournament that requires a lot of hands-on. But the most important part is the safety mitigation of this. That's why we're here. This is why I'm talking about it, because it's going to require us to basically shut down the park for the day. Some of the safety mitigation things would be signage all along the woods where the trails are, caution tape blocking. We have safety coordinators actually walking the trail as people go through it. There's a check-in. There's a check-in when you go into the court, so we don't have to worry about people just coming from anywhere and just strolling in. I've already talked with the state park representatives on their end of the trail, and they're willing to help us out. They want to get involved with these sort of things with us as well. It would, of course, be also to help raise money for the park and the archery range, so we would take sponsorships. Originally, when we were trying to raise money for the park, we found out there were some issues with signage and leaving up, banners and things for certain businesses that donated money. But this is the way for us to raise the money and still be able to thank them in a larger way via the internet and signage. So, other than that, this would kind of be the game plan for it. One of the things about this is you would have to be able to shoot within 20 yards of accuracy. Alright, you can't have people out there rolling around being all willy-nilly. All of the stations, go back to this real quick. I didn't put the arrows on there yet, but they're all laid out to backdrops. Nothing crosses, nothing goes towards people, nothing goes towards traffic, nothing makes it out of the tree line to ensure that everyone is safe. As you can see to the left side, that's River Cliff, which is already pretty much shut down, so if we had to shut it down for a day, not a big loss there, just for a little extra preventative measures. So what I got. So one of the things that we're learning about tourism in Arkansas is adventure tourism, where people are seeking out places to do different things like this, whether it be, our mountain biking or whatever. There's other entities like this throughout the country, like R100 in Colorado. That's more of an endurance thing, and I'm not really interested in running. So,
Where do you live in doing this?
The date's not fully set because we're kind of getting a later start on it than I had hoped. But as of right now, it's slated for late February, but we might need to go into June, just to make sure we have enough roll around time for the trolls and advertising and all that kind of stuff.
Is it just bows or crossbows?
Yeah, no, we won't be able to do crossbows, just for safety reasons. It would be bow, but anything from traditional to compound. And then one of the cool things we were talking around down the area was having the chamber hype up, and on Sunday, the day after, encourage families to come out with their kids and their Nerf guns. If you have any nieces, nephews, grandchildren, kids, they're obsessed with these things, so they can hike the trail with their family, hunt the trolls, super simple, and then we break it down and set it up for the next day and try and build something. Yeah.
How would you guys, where would you be advertising this at? Locally or?
Yeah, so one of the things we learned through Dam Jam is kind of like our 2 to 3 hour radius is our most effective radius for these sorts of things and festivals. So we would hopefully raise enough funds for a couple of Baxter Bulletin ads. KTLO is super great. KTHS is also super great. They put together really great work. It would just all be
Can you
fun.
do it as a press release? I'll do
Yeah.
it for free.
So, beautiful. Awesome.
You can also seek out any kind sponsorship, so that they will do things like bring the banners for free, and you count it as a sponsor to do that for you. And we get, in fact, the newspapers, we full page ads for them, and they count it as a sponsor, and they get all the shout outs on social media, and you know, like that, when it's part of the social media, and do certain kind of thing on the
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Oh,
Thursday, the Bullseye Archery Club is having their first meeting at 6:30, and we'll be talking about distributing some of the money that we have and everything else. You might have to have a representative there. We're going to go at 6:30.
I'll be there.
There you go. And that would probably, they'd be able to help out there.
well, I was say, I'm going Thursday, I already talked to you guys read about it.
So basically, the whole point of this is, you know, guys think about it. I'd like to get some motion on it next week if we can. If any more concerns come up, everyone please reach out to me, obviously. This is something cool, something different. No one else around us is doing something like this. So,
I believe we got more donations than 600.
Yeah, we've raised more than $600.
There's more than 600 there. We were discussing earlier, we're almost at about 12.
all right, well, get at me if you guys have any questions, and we'll keep you updated as everything goes through. Thank you. $100? Yeah.
All right, next thing on the agenda is the budget, summary.
We'll give Councilman Howard a chance to get back. You know, some of us don't like to eat crow, but I'm going to. You know, I need to thank Tracy, and I also need to thank Councilman Howell, because they brought something to our attention. We thought that we had to pay the IRS monthly, but come to find out it's based on how many employees you have, and if you have 6 or more, which the city has, you have to file bi-weekly, and we've only been filing monthly. So now, but water and sewer only has to file monthly. So, however, we set a particular file, we're now paying it every 2 weeks. It's going to be done. But I owe you guys thanks for that, because there were things we didn't know. You know, if you've ever watched a relay race, when they pass the baton, if they don't do it right, you lose the race. And basically that's what happened. That all being said, we also found out that there were some things that should have been done also that we didn't know about, and has never been done in the past. But we're doing it this year. And what I have right here is a form we're working on, and we're going to look at adapting it to our monthly treasurer report. But we're required by state law to post last year's funds
income, outgo, start balance, exit balance, every year by April 1st. And we didn't know that until just 2 weeks ago. And it hadn't been done in the past. So this is a learning curve, and we're learning all kinds of neat things. And I got to thank Lynn for her help, because she volunteered to help us do the tickler and help us get online with all the things that we didn't know about. I'm sorry, I'm not a CPA. I don't have magic fingers. They're big, they're bulky, and they hit wrong numbers. Okay, so we're working on it. Yes, there was a food law. We also found out that there may be more food laws that we didn't know about at the state level that we're going to have to take a look at. You know, and that's all stuff that we didn't know. You know, the only person that's been up here more than a year and 2 months is Mr. Green. You know, the rest of us are all new at this, and it's going to be a learning curve, folks. But we're going to take it, we're going to move forward with it. We're not going to sit here and make excuses. We're going to eat crow if we have to. And here, we made a food law. Here, we have a blunder. That does not excuse it. That just means we're going to learn from it and move on, so we don't repeat it. Other than that, I'm going to turn it. You want to talk about it now, Joe?
I think it fits right now, so.
Do it now.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
We talked about ways from the business.
It fits here.
It's been very good.
Alright, so I'm going to piggyback on what was just said. We've made mistakes, that's evident. We're not, they're not mistakes that we try to hide, they're not mistakes in anything, they're just mistakes. And I truly believe, and I've tried to act this way on the council, that there's always a solution to a problem. There's always a road out. And one of the things that some people a lot smarter than me came up with, and I just kind of helped flush it out, was coming up with we're calling it the Finance Oversight Committee. And I've got a little handout here. We can get this up on the website if you want to read it. But basically, it runs over what the committee is, and I'm going to do this really quick. The Financial Oversight Committee, we'll just call it the FOC, will consist of 3 to 5 volunteers. Volunteers are going to be members of Bull Shoals community. They will not be members of the council or members of the city government. They will be volunteers from the community. Hopefully they'll have some background in finance. They will meet the first work day of every week with the treasurer. And they will do 2 things in that meeting. They will look back over the week that has passed, review what was done, what needed to be done, did everything get done. They will then look forward to the week ahead, what needs to be done that week, set out goals, remind the treasurer if there's anything that needs to be paid or done, all that. Very simple thing. Minutes will be kept so that we fall within the Arkansas Open Meeting. The members will be appointed and can be removed by the mayor. They'll have access to records, financial records for the city, but no sensitive personal information will be shared. If there's any, classified information, of course, that will be respected. And their job is to help the treasurer. It is not to do the treasurer's job, it's to help the treasurer. Bill talked about having tickler files, or I think Randall talked about having tickler files. These are just ways to remind the treasurer what needs to be done. We're all learning how to do this, okay? There will be a monthly report given to the council, just like the fire does, just like the police do, of what they've been up to. Let's see here, what else is important to know here? And we already talked about reminders. So I would like to put this forward to the council. I want them to think about it so that at the meeting, we can either pass this as an ordinance or pass it. I'm not sure which one it needs to be, whether it needs to be an ordinance or whether it needs to be a resolution. But I would like to have councilman comments on it at the meeting next Thursday. And this is not a scolding of the treasurer. This isn't a retribution for something she's done. We're trying to help her, okay? I think it's important for this community to understand one thing. We are not a rich community. It would be awesome if we had the money to hire a CPA to do this. We don't have that kind of money, okay? The people that are working on these things are working as hard as they can. They make mistakes. I get it. The mistakes are pointed out. They're corrected. We are working within what we have. This is not a new problem. The treasurer that we had before the current treasurer had issues. The treasurer before them had issues. This is an endemic problem. This is what happens when you cannot afford to pay to have a professional doing everything that needs to be done. This is a way to help. So, that's what I'm putting forward. You all have a copy of it. We'll put a copy of it up on the website.
I don't know if we need to have a resolution. I can make the committee. I have 3 volunteers that already want to be on that committee. I would definitely ask anybody else that would help us out. Please let me know. Okay, we use all the help we have. I would rather have 3 to 5 or even 6 people on this committee in case 2 of them want to go on vacation and not be here. Okay, or 3 of them are gone, but at least we have someone refreshing our memory every week on what we need to do. We gotta pay this bill, we gotta pay that bill, this is coming up, we gotta make sure we get this one. That's the whole idea behind this. Tracy?
When there's an opportunity for me to make appropriate comments, I would like an opportunity to do that, because although I know this is not mentioned, there are a lot of problems.
Yes. Like I said, if there's someone else out there, I got 3 people that want to sit on this right now, the more the merrier. Like I said, it's to make sure that we have the proper things being paid and on time. So, any more on that? Russ, you're next.
Yes, I just want to go over a very productive meeting the mayor and myself and Merle Fawcett had. I'm very excited that he's here helping us, and we're going to really get the street department and the sewer department and water department and the city works going down there just needs to be completely organized, and I'm going to help with part of that because it's kind of something I've done in the past. So if you can organize the shop and the tools, it'll be so much more efficient. Instead of a maintenance program, start changing oil, basic maintenance on the trucks and equipment ourselves instead of paying someone. These are all Merle's ideas, and they're excellent ideas. Some of the equipment we have, maybe sell that and purchase something that's a little more flexible. That makes more sense for us. And then sell off some of the non-working trucks and equipment to generate cash. The last thing that Mr. Fox mentioned was the ALS building in some type of an auction situation. I asked you, Councilman Hudson, what do you think about the idea of actually just having an auction?
I think it's a great idea. We have the photographs that we could actually put an online catalog together for an auction ahead of time. People can look. There's a ton of printers, computers, there's still some hand tools left, some specialized reloading tools. And we have good quality photographs of all of it. I spent 4 days down there photographing everything.
We don't want to waste those 4 days that you put in, so I think, Mr. Foster, do you want to speak to this, or you?
Yeah, if we did a public auction, I mean, you're not spending all that extra time fielding phone calls and stuff, and people trying to buy stuff, and there's so much stuff down there that needs to be gone. We don't use it anymore, it's not thrown back into a pile, it's ready to be sold. And I'm an auctioneer, and I can't do it for money, so, the state arts, I license auctioneer to auction, but to do it for free. So I'll do the auction. I've had auctions coming before, so. And it can generate pretty good money. If we advertise it good enough, we'll get enough people. And that'll bring people to the town to see the town too.
How much time do you think, lifetime?
You can set an auction up in a month.
Are you ready, Kevin?
I've got all the stuff I'm thinking download, give it to them tomorrow.
And obviously, we want to wait until it gets a little warmer. So,
But not Saturday? Is that something you can vote on as a council there, or how does it work?
no, I mean, this is something that we've already talked about, and we need to, get that stuff out of there so that we can bring in.
What's our contingency plan for the things that kill and stuff? Right, are we just gonna dump throw it this way, just have scrappers come through? And I know we can have those materials in there that are worth money, but if you're saying we have 20 printers in there, I mean, how much are we gonna get for a printer for $19.99?
You'd be surprised how an auctioneer can sell a pile of stuff.
Without a commission, so, yes?
Without commission, I will be confident. I like doing it, it's fun.
Thank you, Merle, I really appreciate it. It's excellent, it's a great idea.
And one of the other things that we had talked about was, and we're still working on, Merle and I are still working on, hiring an individual that has mechanic skills. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get this individual, but I talked to his boss earlier tonight, and he will talk to his employee tomorrow. And so he actually, that guy asked, we needed to talk to his boss first. Hopefully he did a job, and we won't put him in the market, so. This is a well-qualified individual, and, we can get them at a reasonable price.
And we're down just to 2 streets, parking orders and everything.
Yes.
I've got one. I don't want one. Well, yeah, we're kind of really down to one right now.
We're down to one right now. But, this is something that we've been working on with, it's going to save the city lots of money. If we can have someone down there that can change oil on our fire, our police, our street vehicles, our equipment, lawnmowers and all that, and keep records. Overall, we're going to have a maintenance program that has been neglected for years. And it's definitely going to save us.
Just changing the oil, doing our own oil changes saves $550 per year.
Because we've been taking them for vehicles, okay, and paying them for. Something that would work out better for us. Next thing on the agenda was third reading of ordinance 2026-03, and a second reading on ordinance 2026-04. We already talked about the financials committee. Citizens' comments. Come on up and state your name and we already know, Kevin, so.
Learn as you go is a concept of financial management, not viable. Business of government finance is a lot more complicated than a retail store, the construction business, whatever. Many is formed with people that prior experience in financial management is a good thing. But again, if their financial management is not experience does not entail anything related to nonprofit or government, and then again, you're back in to learn as you go curve. So wish you luck with that, but I have to remind you that government is for the public welfare. Watch the finances of the government risk losing vital services. I keep on hearing bankruptcy if clear records are not being kept. For somebody to follow down the road would be, for you to pass the torch, you have to have solid financial records to go by. The next crew that comes in here might have a fortune of being able to see what's going on clearly with the right financial records. All right.
Thank you.
Tracy Coffee, Woodstone Road. So when I saw on the agenda that there was a proposal for a taxpayer finance committee, I thought that sounds interesting. I looked it up and did a little research. And if all of the councilors were, should be because I copy on everything I send out. You know that I have done a lot of lawyers and I've been looking over the finances of the city, not just from this administration, but actually from the last one. And I found some pretty disturbing stuff as I've gone along, and I pulled these FOIAs and I found late government and state filings, and yes, the state filings were filed late as well. Penalties, and it's not just about the penalties and fees, and I know somebody stepped up and paid that, but it's not about that. It's about not filing them correctly. There should always, the first quarter was filed as a semi-weekly, the second, third, and fourth were changed to monthly. That first quarter wasn't filed until October. Before that went in, somebody should have asked how to do that. There is, so these are not issues of opinion or inability to do stuff. These are issues of accounting, compliance, and internal controls. And one of the issues that the city has is a lack of internal controls. There is not a single set of external eyes on a professional capacity looking at our records and our processes. And that is a really big failure for any municipality, not just ours, and it doesn't really matter what size you are. One of the things I heard you say was that this treasurer, the past treasurer, and the treasurer before that had problems, and my question to y'all is, why do we keep doing the same thing expecting a different outcome? And why are we not looking at other ways to be doing some of this? Because we're not doing it well. And that's no offense to Paula, because everything I know about her, she's a very nice woman, super kind. I've not heard anything bad about her ever. But what I do know from looking at the FOIA is there's a long list of problems, and it goes way beyond the state and federal tax filings. There are late utility payments, late monthly payments, falling proficiency payments, misdirecting payments, payroll checks. There are withholding issues, and it goes on. And we don't need to air all that very long in here, but the reality is there are a lot of problems in state and federal filings because they were not done correctly. And I know we all want to hope that the IRS is just going to say, oopsie, that's okay. That isn't how they work. My former job, when I was retired from, was as a CASA director. The executive director of CASA was North Arkansas, 501c3 nonprofit. Our former director does it all along. On top of that, although she withheld funds, she failed to pay them to the federal government several periods, and she did not file our 990, our federal return. My first day in office, I got an $18,000 tax bill and a cease and desist letter. It took me 4 years to sort out with the IRS. And when I tell you that, understand that you've gotten an overpayment for one, just because you haven't been notified that there are fines, fees, or penalties doesn't mean that there are not fines, fees, or penalties. They are sometimes 2 years behind in finding that stuff. And it will be a mess and difficult to unravel if you don't know how to do that. I spent 6 weeks going through a nonprofit accounting course to learn how to do what I needed to do in order to manage what I was doing, to do my job, the job I was hired to do and paid to do. We pay Paula to do this job, and if you want the citizens to come involved and volunteer their time to oversee her and help her make sure she's doing her job and create support, and I know that it's well intended. I understand that, and I know that the intention is to get things right. But I'm telling you that what you need is someone to come in and look at our books. For instance, I have no idea if we completely converted over to the CSA software, but we're still doing some mismanagement. That's a problem. I've looked at some of the CSA reports, and they don't balance. And when they don't balance, it's generally because there's an input error. That means that you put something in over here, and it's drawn that over here, and it should take this and subtract or add this, and it should come out to this. And if that doesn't happen, it's because there's an input error. And I don't think that it's possible for a group of citizens to unravel this. I don't think it's possible to call it unravel. Perhaps she can pick up and move on and go from here and not repeat those mistakes that she's made. But those mistakes have consequences, and those coding errors, and those input errors, and those deposits to different places have consequences. And I really firmly believe that we need a certified public accountant to come in here and review our books, audit that stuff. If nothing else, have them audit the federal and state withholding, because I promise you, they're going to find some issues. We paid $7,700 for the first quarter and got a notice that it was over $3,900, and we paid $5,800 for the second quarter. In the third quarter, we paid over $20,000, in the fourth quarter, over $14,000. None of that makes sense based on the withholding or the deposits. We also missed deposits for 3 months. Even though we should have been making monthly deposits according to the treasurer, we missed 3 months. We made no deposits in January, September, October, I believe. I could be wrong about the exact time. That's also problematic. I don't know if those big payments will catch up for that, or if there were fines, fees, or penalties, because they didn't answer me. If that's a problem, the numbers don't make any sense. So, even if you don't hear me on a CPA to come in and audit some of these and figure out what's happened, somebody definitely needs to come in and look at every mistake reported and make sure that all of that is being done on schedule, that we're filing it correctly. We should be filing in the semi-weekly. The IRS determines that. The city does not, and you cannot change it. That stuff can wind up costing tens and twenties and thirties and thousands of dollars to the city. And I don't think the taxpayers are going to step up into the building. I certainly do. I'm not sure why any citizen would get. And by the way, if the citizen stepped up and paid, there's no taxpayer. That still means the taxpayer put the bill. So I'm not okay with that, just for the record. So anyway, that's all I have to say about it. I know it's very well intended. It's very well thought out, by the way, and very well put together. I don't think it solves our problem. I think it solves it.
Any other citizens' comments?
Tim Curtis, I got 2 comments. My dad was on the council years and years ago, 50-some years ago, and on the deal with the resorts and stuff, back then I think they could put, for like 8 to 9 months of the season, you know, it had to be used as a resort, and then for like 3 or 4 months in the wintertime, if they could rent them out for a 30-day period, then they could do that. Just as a suggestion. I don't want them having apartments over there. Well, I probably live there. I'm too old to run out for this money. Tim Curtis, by the way. And also, guys, it's coming up bee season. I had 27 hives this last winter. I've now only got 6 left, okay? It's that bad. Please tell people it's time to start spraying your flowers in your yards and everything else. Do it early in the morning, late in the evening, and everything else. And when it says only use 1 bag of diazon crystals, don't put 10 down. Because as soon as it gets wet, they drink that water, take it back to the hive, the hive's dead. Okay? I've got 12 dudes coming in 2 weeks, And they're $185 a piece to get back started again, to get back up to 35, so I can have a lot of money to sell them and give away. So, but without these, we die. So please try and remember that. Same with the city, if you're doing spraying along the roads and everything else, just if you can do it, or in the park and everything, if you can do it early in the morning or the last hour of daylight, it's a lot better for the bees, because they're either not out yet or they're back in the hive and everything else for the nighttime. Thank y'all very much, appreciate it.
Any other citizens' comments?
Don't mow your dandelions, right?
That's right.
Cheryl from Because here, and on another note with Rick, maybe we can do some kind of ordinance or something with the board of realtors and tell them that we'd like to see the binding contract. No personal information, and just to see a contract before the buyer buys it. Something is not go after the realtor, but work with the board of realtors, have them get the word out that will show government involved would like to see a contract of sale before it's signed. I don't know.
It'd be great if we could get them to do that, but my experience in the last 33 years here, realtors don't like to share any kind of information. Okay?
But if we make it a law or an ordinance for our town, so I'm here this evening, everyone, and I would just like to say that I think Kevin and Terry Hutchinson were very lovely people, and they got Broadale. When I read the article, and that's their newspaper, I was surprised and sad to think how they had coped with the planting of faces and nerves. There's no way we can really stop that, I suppose, but maybe we can ask, is Mrs. Dusk here? If she was, I would ask her to give a public apology to Danny Caldwell and to Kevin, at the very least, and to the taxpayers for wasting our time and our money for an investigation that never should have taken place. I don't understand how that could happen without a written affidavit police report. I was wasting time and taxpayers' money. And the defamation of character. You're the hardest working person. You might, I stated, but hear about it, and Christ don't deserve, you do not deserve the harassment that you get on Facebook. I had to leave one of those ridiculous Facebook pages because it was fifth graders. And it's only going to get worse this November, I know, because it's election year, and a lot of political propaganda is going to go on without facts. And I just want to, can I do it for you? Can I say it for
I have no problem with it.
okay. Holy Spirit, help our community to become a safe place to live. Stop this dangerously foolish behavior and harassment against law-abiding citizens like Kevin and Danny Caldwell, who want to see this community thrive. I pray in the presence of God's love for all. Amen.
Any more citizens' comments? Yeah, I'm gonna get there.
Keep going. Just real quick, I agree with what you're saying, Kevin. All you guys,
You guys do work real hard. Everybody makes mistakes, we know this. But I did come in Marlon as a city work director, public work director of his college. That's going to help our benefit our taxpayer dollar tremendously. He's already doing it, I believe, within a few weeks he's been off. Kevin, every time something comes up, Mr. Hudson is there. You guys, all of you guys are trying your best. Like he said, lighting gears here, but they're going to get nasty here. Don't let them get you. Stay strong. Kevin, man. Don't let them kick you, man. You can kick them hard in the back as one, but they can't keep you.
Like Sandra Lee said, there's a statewide Secretary of State runoff the week of March 23rd to March 27th, and the city is hosting Red Cross blood drive the same Wednesday of that week. So instead of having the voting is going to be here, we have partnered with Baptist Church over here, and they've agreed to have it in their little cafeteria room here. So our blood drive will move from here over to the Baptist Church on the 25th of March. It's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. The city will be conducting smoke testing. I already, said that, and we'll be putting it out on our website and advising the sheriff's department. So when they get their phone calls, they're not gonna, hit the red button for the fire department to come out. This is a big issue that our city is facing, and that is the unwanted rainwater infiltrating our sewer lines. Some of this water may be coming from homes that have their sump pumps connected to their sewer system. If this is the case, please contact City Hall so we can come up with a solution to correct this. This could be the reason why we have SSOs, which is the sewer system overflow, or at least it is a contributing to the cause. So if you do have a sump pump that is hooked up to the sewer system, please let us know. Let's figure something out. That sump water should not be going down to our sewer treatment plant. Okay, plain and simple. It's not, any kind of thing that we want to give a citation to. We just want to solve our infiltration problem. And when we get heavy rain and we got heavy flow during heavy rains, we have evidence of that, we have data stating that, and if it's the sump pumps that are kicking on, okay, yeah, we have a problem. And a lot of people don't realize that if there's some pump that's hooked up to the sewer system. Parks Lynn, she got another permit for 3 more trees to be taken down at Dam Site Park on Wednesday, 3/9/2026, which were overhanging the first bathhouse. As you come in there, where Dwayne Honda had painted the building. Now, while we had the tree service that we got the approval to hire, they were there Thursday cutting the 2 big trees in Dam Site Park, and I asked them, since we just got a new permit from the Corps to have 3 more trees taken down, asked them if they give me a price and if they could take them down while they were still there and had their equipment, and they said they would for $800. So I hired them, and we paid them for it. So, if there's any questions on Facebook, that's what we did. What else do we have? Anything? You folks have anything that we didn't quite cover?
I have a quick question, and I guess this is for Rick. I don't feel like I can walk outside without someone wondering me about cases.
No, actually, I sent an email out earlier this week, and I have not heard back. I've probably okay, did you get
I
some?
haven't heard anything. I spoke with plumbers today.
Yeah, I spoke with S&M Plumbing, and they said that, they were putting all the contractors' bids out on the 15th. So, as soon as they get all those bids, and we'll know more.
I've got one thing for everybody here. If you're not sure if your sump pump is tied to your sewer line or not, please feel free to call me. I'll come look at it. Let you know.
Okay, I mean, you know,
That's not a problem at all.
we have to solve this problem. I mean, we've been cammering, we've been, you know, they cameraed while we were in the downpour. And some of the problem areas that we thought had infiltration showed no signs of leakage. So we have a problem somewhere else, and we just need to locate it, and it's gonna take us time. But once we find it, you know, we're gonna be digging it up, and we're gonna need money to do it. And we can fix it.
I have a question. Do we have a list of phone numbers where we can just make a phone call? Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, you know,
I mean, and how many sub numbers do you think we have?
I don't know, that's the, you know, I have no idea, you know. We'll get it figured out one way or another.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye.